Here we are talking about adolescence, reaching the age of adolescence. Today is the going to start new chapters, and that chapter is related to your reaching the age of adolescence. Now, what is adolescence? Basically, here you can observe that there is some physical changes are shown in this figure. Here you can also see the physical changes. These physical changes are um, there is a small kids, and when this small kids grown, there are the different changes can be seen in their body. These may be related to the size of the heights of human beings. It may be related to the growth of the mind. It may be related to the some physical things which we can observe in the human bodies, and these things talk about the adolescence when these convert change from started from here this place to this place. These are basically talking about the adolescence. Now what happened in the adolescence is that period of life when many changes start taking place in the body. That means basically adolescence is a kind of the things which is related to the changes in our body, and this results what happened, this results the reproductivity of maturity. That means they from born till they becomes they have ability to create the reproductive ness by with other bodies. That is the adolescence. It usually begins around the age of 10 year, and it is seen till 18th and 19 years of age. That means when we talk about the adolescent, that adolescent is basically the considerable age is basically the age from 10th or until 19th. Now, adolescents are also called as this term is also called as teenagers. We call as a teenagers, and the teenage age period is covered up in this adolescence. So it is all about the adolescence. Uh, Now there is a term teenage. Teenage is basically adolescence. The number of year during the adolescent span is counted, in which that is the started from 10th of age till 19. That is a span of time when these periods are adolescent periods are counted, and these adolescent period are basically 10, and these 13th, 14th, and 15th. Hence, this duration is termed as a teenage. Now, when we talk about another term that is also comes in which the changes occurs, where the process of transformation taking place during the adolescent period is called the puberty. This is the where the transformation take place. The transformation means what? The transformation means the the growth and development uh, from that started from age of 10th to age of 19, that is known as the puberty. The one set of puberty points out the starting of adolescence. Whence one set of puberty points out to the starting of the adolescence. That means adolescence is a one kind of the condition where puberty is started. When this puberty started, we can say the childrens are childs are growing, and the end of adolescence or puberty inform about the completion of reproductive maturity. That means that humans are that becomes the mature and he has ability for the reproductions. That is the puberty. Now, what happened when the during the puberties, there are the various changes taking place during this puberty, and one is called the increase in height. Number one, which we can observe. I am not going to read all these things. It is very clear. But when the increase in height, that means the length of that particular person is increases. That is the very observable conditions when this kind of the things take place. Uh, and in this period, there is an important point: eat too much of nutrients for better development of bones, muscles, and other parts of the body. So all the parts of the body only um, maintains when we take a nutrients in our diets. Now the second part is which is also important, that is the shape of body. When the boys will start broad shoulders, that is the puberty part, and the chest also increases, while in case of girls the region below the waist becomes broader. That is the one condition which we very clearly observes. And moreover, the muscles of boys will grow more prominently than the girls. This is the another conditions. The bone, when we talk about the grown, in which kind of the humans, the growns are prominently can be seen. That is the only the boys where the prominently grows. We can observe comparatively boy in case of boys. Now the changes of voice, very important. It is a condition of puberty. Changes of voice also change. It is noticed that the voice of the boys started cracking, and their voice box or larynx start to grow. This is the part of throat, and this part shows changes. Where is this is the Linux voice box where this start grow. The Adam apple, basically this part is basically Adam apple, which we called as Adam apple. This is basically Adam apple. And this increase in the size of voice because of this, the size of voice box increases in voice, seen prominently protrusion in the neck. There is a that is called the protrusion in the neck, that is comes out outside of the body. That protrusion is called basically Adam apples. Moreover, the girls, in case of girls, usually have a high pitched. They have a high pitched voice, while the boys have a deeper voice. Their voice is very high pitched, and this voice is very deeper voice. Increase in activity of sweat and sebaceous. There is a kind of the activity like sweat and sebaceous. A small child will have a less sweat, whereas in big child, adolescent child have a larger sweat, and it is a case of puberty. The sweat glands, there is a glands in our body that is sweat glands, and that glands starts operating and produce more sweat, and the sebaceous is gland or oily glands. Increased function result in pimples or an acne. These things happens when the pimples started on the faces. That is the by which we can understand the adolescence age are coming, and this adolescent age basically due to the sebaceous kind of the gland in which is in our body. They have may sometimes they increase more, whereas sometimes they increase less. And the other things by which we can observe that the adolescent age are coming, that is the development of sex or organs. And these sex organ basically take place are found to be more active in this period. In the male, the testis started to produce male gametes. There is a testis, and these testes are basically male gametes, that is called the sperms. Whereas in females, there is a ovary, that ovaries are started developing and release one mature oven once in a 28 days. That is what is the adolescent condition. Now in case of male, the size of that you have to not understand. Whereas in case of other, the mental, intellectual, and emotional maturity, that brain becomes more active, so more learning place take place during this time, and mental and intellectual maturity is seen. There are some sexual characteristics which is also we have to understand. Just go through all these slides where you can understand what is the sexual characteristics. There is a hormones which we have to also understand. Hormones are chemical substances, basically secrets by endocrine. There is a gland in our human body that is called endocrine glands, and that glands basically secretes the hormones, and these hormones basically taking place during adolescence in the human body proper for the proper functioning. In males, at the beginning of puberty, the hormones are testosterone. There is a testosterone begins gets released by the testes. There is a part in organs in human in male body. There is called that testis, and that testis is basically release these testo hormones. In this result, some changes boys likes growth of facial hairs, deep voice, and the hair of on chest. These things happen due to these hormones secretion. In female bodies, there is a ovary start to produce female hormone, that is the estrogens. These are the hormones which secret by female body, that is estrogens, and these estrogens results secretion of these estrogens results in the breast development on the reaching puberty. Also milk secreting gland of mammary glands. These mammary glands develop take place inside the breast. This happens in the female body. When we talk about the production of these hormones is under the control of another hormone secreted from the endocrine gland called puberty gland. There is a The production of these hormones, these whether it is estrogen or testosterone, these hormones are under control by the different hormones that is called endocrine gland, and that endocrine gland are basically pituitary glands, which is in our body. That pituitary glands basically control all kind of the secretion of hormones. Thus testes and ovaries secrete sex hormones. These sex hormones are controlled by hormones secreted by from the pituitary glands. Here, this by this you can understand hormones from pituitary gland stimulate these basically control. You have to remember these things, and released in the bloodstream and reach parts of the body where the target body stimulate the change in the body at one set of the puberty. Human reproductive phases. There is a age 10 to 12 year of age, and till the 15 years of age, the these reproductive phase are um, take place. In menstruation, here in case of female body, there is a period in each month. One egg is set free by either of the ovaries. There is a in every month one egg is set free by this ovary, and the uterus form a thickness to support a fetus that is mature, to keep it ready in case of pregnancy. If fertilization of the eggs does not take place, then the eggs thickness in uterus are removed in small parts. As the result, the bleeding in the vagina take place for some days. This happen. This bleeding through vagina at the end of the menstrual cycle, that is called the menstrual cycle, and this called is a menstruation. You can see here that is called the menstruation. Yes, that is and the sequence of event started from release of an egg until egg gets removed. Eggs until gets removed is called menstrual cycle. That means when there is a sequence of event, it will take more time, and that's why it is called the sequence of event. And within that time, the release of an egg until gets egg removed is called the menstrual cycle, and that menstrual cycle is basically normally a 28 to 30 days period of time. Now, when we make hierarchy, what is hierarchy? And this point is not given in your book, but it is the first menstrual bleeding in girl's life. When the girls becomes adolescent, at that time, when the first time bleeding come out from his body, that period or that condition is known as men rachi. It indicates beginnings of the puberty in the girls. The menopause is basically the condition when these menstrual cycles are ending. In female body, it is observed that 45 to 50 age, this menstrual body is stopped, and menopause indicates the end of reproductive phase. It is the phase of reproductive phase when this 45 to 50 years the menstrual cycle has to stop. Other hormones other than the sex hormone, there are the other hormones also responsible for the changes during the adolescence. There are the few other hormones that act in the background. These are the some hormones which we have to. We are talking about the pituitary gland, which is control the releasing of secretion of testosterone and the estrogens gland, and another gland that is thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, position of these are the some another kind of the hormones which secrete in our body. What is the thyroxine? Thyroxine is released by thyroid gland, as I have shown in figure, and it is present in the part of the neck. Where it is present, it is part of the neck. In case of improper secretion of thyroxine, if these thyroxine was released in our body improperly, what happens? It's swelling of the throats or a disease called the goitritis. That is, the disease take place because of the improper secretion of thyroxine. Now, when we talk about insulin is which is responsible for controlling the sugar level in our body. And this hormones is basically secreted by the pancreas, as shown in the previous figure. If pancreas is released, means insulin is released from the which kind of the gland, that is the pancreas. And if insulin is not secreted properly, the blood sugar level might have increased or can result into conditions called the diabetes take place because of the improper secretion of insulin through the pancreas. Now, when we talk about adrenals, there is also called a pair of adrenal glands, and that is the top of the kidney where these glands are. And it is a um, place that is called as adrenaline. um, um, these adrenaline glands are basically at the top of the kidney, and this fight flight hormones, this is also known as flight fight hormones. It is it is the hormones of emergency. It also help in balancing the salt level in the blood. This hormones is basically balancing the salt level in the blood. So it is all about today's session. We will discuss these parts in different classes. We will discuss all these things. We have also small uh, question answer included. I have in this slide. So all complete all those things. Understand, read all these. First, you have to understand about the topic very clearly. What is adolescent? And why this adolescence take place, what are the different conditions for to understand whether this person or living organisms becomes adults or not. So there are some conditions which we have to understand. On the basis of that conditions, we what are the different changes taking place in our body, why these changes are taking place in our body. There will be some hormones are responsible, and we have to understand all these hormones. So for till the day, mm, today's uh, only this much. We will start the next part in next sessions.